Hello and welcome to The Inverted Castle, a podcast about Metroidvania games. I'm a being of pure darkness, Thomas Blight, with my co-host, Eric Fox, a being of pure light.
I was supposed to fill your dark soul with light!
Oh, I was gonna go for the Kingdom Hearts version, but that also works.
Yeah, that's right. I'm the toe host with the mo host, talking about bullet hells here.
Yeah, and we're talking about Absence of Light, a very indie, from what I can tell, sort of Metroidvania bullet hell.
I would say it fits, but yeah, indie enough that I could barely find it on Steam when I was looking. Yeah, I forget who made this.
It's by someone calling themselves Koala Symphony Games.
And where can I find them?
YouTube and SoundCloud? So, yeah, we were just talking about this before starting the recording. I went to look for their website, and I went through their Kickstarter profile to find it. They have 2 websites listed. Neither of them work.
Yeah. A very odd case of a Kickstarter project ghosting after delivering.
I mean, maybe they're just having web problems. Who knows? Unexpectedly popular?
Whomst could say. I don't have access to that data, but we do have access to what the game actually is, which, as mentioned, combination like actual bullet hell, very Toho inspired.
Yeah.
Except it's instead of being constricted to a screen, you have a whole world to explore with dual joystick, like move and fire kind of thing.
Yeah. And like it does actually have exploring and ability gates. So like it's pretty Metroidvania. I mean, I'm sure there's some people who are like, oh, but it's not a platforming game. And I mean, we also covered the Night Witch, so apparently we just don't care.
Yeah, Night Witch being a bit more bullet heck to this one's bullet hell, the very least at the later stages of this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are actual ability gates in that you'll gain an ability such as, I don't know, fire weapon that can burn barrier that was previously impassable.
Yeah.
You know, and a non-linear progression. You don't have to go in the prescribed order of areas.
Yeah. Actually, are there any conditions? I kind of just went in the like, this seems like the place where I have to go next order, but it seemed pretty open for going to the other ones.
Yeah, so after a little preamble, you'll have 4 main areas to get the MacGuffin out of. The first one you need to go to first. That one's locked behind a story gate, essentially. It's the power zone, and once you deactivate it, the electrical barriers are gone, so you can get to the rest of the levels. But after that, the next 3, any order you choose.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess we might as well talk about the things that are ability gates.
Yes. What do you get in this game?
So the first one is I don't forget what it's actually called. I just know it as the reflector. And that's just, hey, you can hit a button and it'll briefly deflect enemy bullets. Super useful for a bullet hell as a kind of like oh shit button.
Yeah, you basically charge into a wave that you don't think you can dodge through, and as a bonus, all those bullets reflect back and deal damage. It's great.
Yeah.
It allows you to also get past some like zones where there's just a constant stream of bullets that cannot possibly be weaved through, and you can get some extra goodies through that. But next up is the remote bomb, which is I found less useful in terms of combat.
That is the last one I got, and yes, not very useful in terms of combat.
Yeah. You kind of plunk down a bomb and you can move away, and then it's kind of a small explosion, but also while it's out, you can't fire. It's mostly for activating switches from far away, and also to beat the puzzle boss, although theoretically you could do without it. I just didn't.
Yeah.
Where he has a weak point that's only available when you're not in front of it. It's fine, but it's a weird thing of, it is like explicitly a weapon, but is relegated to puzzle solving pretty much entirely.
Yeah, awkward to use. I don't know, maybe it's possible to use it offensively on other bosses. I promptly even forgot what button it's on.
It's on B. It's with one of the face buttons.
Yeah.
The opposite of Y, where you get your reflector. Much more useful.
Yeah, I guess one slight awkwardness with the face buttons is that it is twin stick. I mean, a lot of the time you can kind of just point and forget about the right stick. but it does come up that you might have to turn your bullet stream.
Thankfully, it's not, you don't have to hold the stream to be able to fire. You set your direction and then the fire button will just kind of take care of it for you. But given that this isn't a Toho where the enemy is always above you, you're going to have to kind of like weave 360 degrees around. And when you're doing that, you can't also be using your defensive option, but it works out. It's just part of the, push and pull of the game.
Yeah. The next one is a little better for that because it's just a modal thing. I think it's actually in-game called the Revelator. It's essentially a light that also reveals fake walls.
Yeah, like there aren't many fake walls in areas that aren't the zone you got it in, like maybe one or two. But yeah, you just can have it on. There's no downside to it. And you can see secrets. And that's, I don't know, it's one of the things that is like just generically useful, but also doesn't have any secondary applications.
It's the most key-like of the abilities, I guess.
Yeah, although, just a tangent, there is a key in the game at the very, very beginning, just as you're starting your adventure. Like after you get the lore dump of why you're doing what you're doing, you get a key. And then it unlocks the one door, and this is the one key in the game. And do you remember what it does?
I don't. What does it do?
So it's weird because this is the only instance of this kind of humor in the game where the animation of the door unlocking is just like a lot of stretch and squish, like in Photoshop almost, of the door going away as a kazoo kind of like farts around. Just kind of like drawing attention to like, oh, keys in Metroidvania are always kind of a disappointing letdown, and this is the only one in the game. But also, the game's never funny like that again, so,
Yeah, I did already forget about that.
I wrote it down in my notes as, I think, Kazoo Fanfare, the first thing I wrote down, and it reminded me of that. Very important to note, as someone who is at least self-aware of what they're doing. But the final progression thing, which is weird because it is, instead of your abilities, it's part of your weaponry, the flamethrower, which burns boxes, but is also actually a good weapon, unlike the bomb.
I mean, is that strange? Like, in terms of Metroidvania in general, it's the only one that it really does here, but having a weapon, like a weapon or a change to your weapon is pretty standard in a lot of Metroidvania, right? Like, Metroid itself has the wave beam, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking about it only in this game's context.
Yeah.
Just from what it does with your abilities later. But yeah, Ice Beam is as old as Metroid is, so fair play. I retract my statement.
Yeah, and then I guess just because you mentioned it, other things that you can get in the world, there's 5 total weapons. There's 8 total pieces of heart. They work exactly like pieces of heart in Zelda.
Uh-huh.
There's the golden screws, which let you upgrade the weapons to the maximum level.
Yeah, we should talk about like weaponry in more detail later, but yeah, you have an optional goodie that you need to, in addition to money, in order to get to higher tiers of weapon level.
And this is the only thing that money does, other than buy maps.
Yes, and in this case, map buying is a pittance, easily afforded every time you see it. Like, kill a couple of enemies if you've somehow run dry, but in my experience, it's never an issue. You won't miss it.
I was obsessively banking because, of course, because when you die, you lose half your money. Was not necessary.
No, and also the equivalent of a treasure chest, a sphere of money that you can burst and get a bunch, those respawn if you leave the area and come back. So if you absolutely needed to farm money, it's kind of not that big of a deal. But if you bank carefully or just don't die, don't know what that's like, you're never going to run into a money issue.
And I mean, we might as well talk about the weapon experience system now.
Yes.
Though the weapon experience system will be very familiar to anyone who played Cave Story. Each weapon has an independent experience level. If you get hit while you're holding that weapon, it will lose experience. That can downgrade it a level into worse capabilities. In this case, all weapons have 5 levels, and there's no, like, I feel like in Cave Story there was like a weapon that can tank hits and a weapon that is super fragile. Not really going on here.
Yeah, in Cave Story, there's the Nemesis weapon that was at its most powerful at like the lowest rank, and then gaining any experience downgrades it, as well as an optional one that just doesn't take experience and you just kind of charge it up. I can see why they wouldn't want a Nemesis style, don't get experience type weapon, just because of like they'd have to put a bunch more errant experience or better ways to avoid experience in the game. Otherwise, downgrading that would be such a pain because you don't get that many hits before
That's
you
true.
die.
Yeah, your maximum hits is 5.
And that's with all of the life upgrades.
Yeah, I don't know. 5 and 4 were both pretty strong. I really felt it, especially in the final bosses, when I downgraded to 3.
Yeah, I even felt it when I downgraded to 4. I'd often just keep swapping between the different weapons each level 5 before I would deign to use the peasant's level 4. But yeah, this is also a thing that's in Touhou, where if you get hit, your weapon powers down as well. It always feels bad, and it's very hard to get back up to level 5.
Yeah.
Mid boss, because if it has a phase transition, great. You won't get enough experience for the full level.
Yeah, the phase transition, I think, is set up so that it will always negate 1 hit's worth of experience.
Something like that, yeah. You'll very much find that either a fight's going really, really well the whole way through, or you immediately spiral out of control as your DPS goes down, so you have to weave between more bullets. You're locked into, like, this is all, like, not a problem. This is just how the difficulty kind of goes.
Yeah, although one particular complaint that I had about these things, the experience magnets to you by default, the health does not. The experience magneting to you is kind of a pain when you got to a phase without getting hit.
Yeah, because once you've gotten hit, you switch to your more powerful weapon. And then once you've finally cleared that phase, one, the bullets are still on screen. You cannot just move to where you need to immediately. You're still dodging. And second, if you happen to be even within like the vague area of where the life and experience spawns, that's all wasted.
And also they'll fade away eventually, which actually happened to me in some of the runs of the alternate final boss. But, I mean, I guess I was doing fine and didn't need it.
Yeah, but you're doing fine until you get hit with that weapon, and now you've got 2 weapons downgraded. Oh, man.
Yeah.
May as well restart. And this is a problem I should bring up. They get around it by putting a bunch of just weapon energy around the save point. But because there is that continuation after death, essentially, where you lose money, continue from a save point, you've still lost those weapon levels.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. So, in particular, I found that it's never quite enough to level things back to full, depending on how you got hit, I guess. Because sometimes it would level you back to full, but sometimes it'd be awkwardly like, no, you end up with the main weapon that you used, and probably the lowest leveled one, not quite hitting its maximum.
Yeah, I definitely did some runs of like, there was one weapon I just never used. So it was kind of a sacrificial lamb of, I don't care if this goes down, if I'm going to restart, just tank it, no worries, and then just level up the other weapons. This was the spread gun, by the way. It's green, it just fires bullets everywhere. You become a bullet hell yourself. It's just not great for DPS on a single focus target.
Yeah, I used it somewhat on the actual like exploration areas.
Oh yeah, if you don't want to worry about aiming, it has bullets in every like pixel of the screen. You're good.
Yeah, although only at levels 5 and 4.
Well, just don't leave levels 5 or 4.
That one is definitely one where like dropping down to level 3 feels like a big downgrade, because now you actually have to aim again.
And what a tragedy that is. Yeah, even its focus fire mode, which is, this game does it like diametrically opposite for what Touhou does, where you have a button to focus, you slow down, but whereas in Touhou, your shots tend to be more accurate and focused in. This one, I think in every case, it actually spreads them out more.
Yeah.
Like, I've got an idea of why they wanted to do it that way.
I thought in Toho it kind of depended on the character.
Yeah, I'm kind of speaking very broadly because there are a bajillion of those games, and each one has a bunch of different characters. But in my memory, every character I would use, it tended to focus. But in this one was very consistently, things get wilder as you concentrate more on direction control and movement.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so like I figure that's kind of the idea of your DPS is when it's more focused fired, right? When you can like aim with the stick, but it's harder to move around. So when it's easier to move around, basically you trade that off with how much damage you can theoretically do to a singular target. This is mostly for boss fights anyway, so
yeah, it
makes a degree of sense.
In particular, the most challenging one to maneuver while using is I don't even know what to call it, purple waves, which actually has pushback, which is a thing I don't think is very common in bullet hell.
Yeah, it's very powerful. Trade-off is you can only realistically use it when you just balls out great at like knowing how your fucking physics works, or it's between waves before the bullets have actually come to you, and then you hot swap to something else, which is what I usually did.
Yeah.
Pretty good for just the navigation generally. Just the amount of DPS can take enemies out before they really get the bullets out at you.
It has some issues with clipping on walls that I couldn't figure out whether that was intentional or not.
I really don't think it is. Like, it's like the bullets come out from behind you, so if you're against a wall, no matter where you try and fire, they instantly get culled, essentially.
Yeah, so I could see a world where that was an intentional thing to say, like, hey, trying to negate the pushback by just putting yourself against a wall is cheating, right? On the other hand, in the alternate final boss, the bottom of the screen doesn't have a real wall, so you can actually just push yourself against the bottom of the screen and go to town.
Oh, I never tried that.
Well, I failed enough on later waves of it that I started to look at how can I make waves as fast as possible, and that's the answer.
Fair play, yeah. You made the boss a wall, and so the bullets just instantly hit them. Is that what I'm getting?
No, like, I mean, you're just putting out a huge amount of DACA, but the boss is at the top of the screen, you're at the bottom. The bottom is not actually a clippable wall.
Oh, I was thinking of the other boss that is on the bottom of the screen.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I'm talking the alternate final boss.
The alternate. Depending on which ending you think of as the main ending, sure.
I think the one where you have to find a secret person is the alternate one, even though it's like the true ending kind of thing.
Yeah, because I think of it as the true ending, and it's like pretty well telegraphed that the main one is like a bad end of sorts. That can be debated. We should probably get into what counts for a story.
Yeah.
Like that one, that's the one that you have to kind of like ignore the signposting of true ending, and that this is the alternate end. But this is we're just arguing semantics. New for us, I know. But yeah, what's the story of this game?
I mean, there's not that much of it. You are literally born yesterday, I guess, or today, really. You just kind of appear in this place called the incubator and get told, hey, you're this special being of light and darkness. You need to go get the sigils of light. Sigils?
It's sigils.
No, there's a weird D&D thing where there's a place called Sigil, and it's actually said sigil, not sigil. It's weird.
Huh.
That's a complete... Yeah. That's a complete non sequitur. Sigils. Yeah, the sigils of light. That's this game's MacGuffins. It's the sages. It's the whatever.
Yeah, getting the medallions, getting the 4 elements that will stop the darkness.
Yeah, the 4 crystals. This is Final Fantasy now.
It's a lot of things. But yeah, and you are tasked by Minerva, the sage in Flickermill is the city you immediately go to after the incubator. She's definitely not up to anything. She just wants you to get the thing, fulfill your destiny.
She's definitely not a sinister shade of purple.
Definitely not. Purple's always good.
Also appears to be some kind of sword.
Oh yeah, the NPCs in this game are mostly just like geometric shapes, cutouts kind of thing. They remind me of the NPCs from Super Paper Mario.
Yeah.
But yeah, she looks like a sword.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The twist was just like, yep, that was pretty obvious from like the moment that you see her.
Yeah, and also I think after 3 of the MacGuffins you get, you'll get like a dream sequence type words in your head. Hey, get real powerful and find me somewhere. And it's back in the incubator, obviously. But back there, that person is the original Sage Mother type thing, sister of Minerva. And she wants you to do a different thing than fight the darkness. And so you have the option of commit to this bit and continue playing the game. Or you can go back to Minerva and say, I wasn't paying attention. Let's go. Let's kill the darkness.
Yeah. Also worth mentioning, you can just save in different slots and do both.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I think if you don't save in a second slot in Flicker Mill, I think you might end up stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. Save in different slots before making a decision, because once you do, there's a save point in the deep darkness if you go Minerva route, which you cannot escape from. And if you commit to going with the light side, or the balance side, immediately the world map changes, all the zones change, you cannot go back.
That said, it's not very long. Like, the game's not very long, so whatever, if you forgot to save.
Yeah, no. I clocked in at 2 hours, 16 minutes on the first ending.
Yeah, that's fair.
It does tell you your time. I'm not sure if that's different from what Steam would tell you, but yeah, very, very quick game to go through, hence why the story is kind of glossed over a little bit, but they are making a bit of a point.
I think I spent as long on the 2 final bosses as I did on the entire rest of the game.
Yeah, that's why I'm not sure if like all of the retries are counted in that time. I definitely stopped paying attention.
Not sure.
But most of the game is definitely doable. The 2 different final bosses for different reasons really make you commit, and there's no difficulty slider, so fair warning. I am not a Toho master, despite what I may have claimed in the past. I can muddle my way through the easiest difficulty. Definitely not 1 credit cleared. I was able to beat this game, but it was definitely difficult. There is the option of changing the bullets to be a simpler version of themselves, so like you get rid of all the particle effects and now they're just white dots with a black background, which really makes your image processing a lot easier for it. But it also makes it less pretty, and also it's easy mode, you dumb baby. Come on, you can do it.
Yeah, I there was a point where I just had to put that on.
Oh, sorry for calling you a dumb baby.
Whatever. In the Dark Realm, I was just like, these things wiggle too much, and it's distracting, so I'm just gonna simplify, and hey, now I can actually dodge them.
Yeah, that's always been my problem of these, is eventually my focus just breaks as my vision blurs, and suddenly all the gaps become just a morass of purple wiggling.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that can help with that is focusing really heavily on your character.
Oh, yeah.
And just, like, tunnel vision into the couple inches around them. That does sometimes mean that you're just like, oh shit, the boss launched an attack that would have been easy if I was paying attention to the boss.
Yeah. Thankfully, the reflector does provide a bit of a panic button.
Yeah.
As long as you use it effectively, like charging bullets while you're doing it, really, you get the most out of it as you create your own paths. But unfortunately, you don't get that in the true ending.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about the bad end path?
So the bad end path is essentially Minerva saying, you know what? Darkness sucks so bad. I'm just going to embrace the oblivion of light. And so what you've been doing this whole time isn't, saving the world so much as ending the concept of sapience. It's a bit of a downer.
Yeah. It's the, like, summon Kingdom Hearts and nuke the world ending.
Yeah, like, suffering is so bad, even existence is too much. It's not worth it. Nihilism type ending. The way it's presented in the ending from Minerva is a bit more like, yes, finally we're at peace. But the whole concept of the true ending is her sister being like, nah, living it owns, actually. Even if it sucks sometimes, you're being a major wiener. And so you gotta do the other thing.
But the thing that I wanted to talk about in the path to the true ending, yeah, so you mentioned that the map changes. Darkness appears, both physical darkness that will hurt you when you touch it, and also just any time that you're not using the reflector or the revelator, it's actually just pitch black.
Yeah, you might think, oh, well, as long as you have that, no problem, right?
Yeah, right?
So, yeah, what happens is, like, as part of the true ending, you need to go back to where you got the MacGuffins and return them one by one. And you have a choice of order again, but when you return these, you also give up the ability you got in that area as well. So you have to make a choice of how you're depowering yourself while you make your way through here, and making the choices of like, okay, I've still got these to go. Do I give up the reflector for safety, or do I give up the like revelator for like, it doesn't do anything for combat, but seeing sure is helpful. Or like a fifth of my weapon, my arsenal now is gone. Thanks.
Yeah.
I kind of like the flamethrower, no longer.
It was all right, but it definitely wasn't the most useful of the weapons.
Yeah, no, but it was definitely like the third go-to I would have when I'm mid-boss. So now I've got two main weapons and two that are kind of situational, we'll say.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the bomb, get rid of the bomb. No easy first choice.
Yeah, I definitely went for bomb, fire, revelator, reflector.
Oh, wow. I got the reflector actually pretty early before I actually I gave it up first because maybe I wasn't paying attention. Maybe I just thought there's no way. So I gave up that one first, actually. It made combat very much you need to know what the layout is to use cover effectively from these high level enemies now. So the revelator was the last one I got rid of.
Yeah, well, meanwhile, me with just the reflector at the end was just like crawling along, waiting for the reflector to come back so that I could see whether or not there was an enemy that I needed to shoot at. Or just shoot forward, and if the bullets disappear, they hit a wall or they hit an enemy.
You just have to infer.
Yeah, they'll shoot at you soon enough. I don't know.
You're playing second order bullet hell here.
Yeah.
The idea of a bullet hell. Yeah, the reflector's not that bad. It's assuming you got the optional like upgrade to it, which makes it recharge faster.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was optional.
Yeah, you can get it almost immediately after you get it too. It's just in the same area. So, but having to essentially sonar your way through the rest of the game is, yeah, I can see how that would be an interesting problem to solve. Not how I would want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the darkness also shows up on the map, so you can be like, okay, so I'm here, and the path forward is there, so...
Somehow this hand-drawn map, which, yeah, shoutouts to the art team. I do like that it wasn't just a wireframe rendition, it was actually like, as though someone drew it out, but somehow it also auto-updates for when it's being cursed with infinite darkness, so, man, that's value.
Don't think about it.
Damn, the one logical flaw in this game. I can't believe it.
Yeah, so after you've given all of those up, you get to go back to Minerva and have an even bigger final boss fight.
This time is a bit more pure in the sense that you don't get your abilities back. This is just kind of mano a mano. You've got your guns. She's got hers.
Yeah, so she's got 4 phases of no abilities. And then you defeat her, but oh no, the darkness is here.
Yeah, and so you got one last hurrah at the very end. Like, you've beaten her into submission, and finally she sees things your way. And I think at this point you get your shit back.
Yep.
Feeling powerful. You also get re-healed for this segment. I didn't die, so I don't know how checkpointing works in this situation.
Oh, you start back at the beginning of Minerva.
That sucks.
I don't know. I had a lot of trouble for some reason with the darkness.
I got lucky. It was definitely a skin of the teeth situation. Getting there, nerves shot, like shaken just barely on the last health. But I think I'd been tempered by. I did this whole game in one sitting, and I had just beaten Dark Side final boss. So I don't know. That's all I can say. Other than I'm just God's gift to gamers, obviously.
Clearly.
But yeah, no, I liked how like the two main final bosses did have like the different styles of your full powerful bit in the dark ending with a more pure bullet hell. Each phase of Minerva is styled alongside the bosses of each area.
Yeah.
It's good. And then you get your dark ending ish where, oh, well, life goes on. Minerva's daughter becomes the new sage and things are pretty good.
Yeah. It's a little, there's an interpretation you could make of it of like, yeah, you didn't destroy the world, but you're also kind of just like Dark Soulsian pushing back the inevitable.
Like there's no actual solution to the ennui of existence. You kind of just gotta deal with it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like, unlike Dark Souls, it's not, hey, you're pushing back the inevitable and things will continue to get worse. It's,
yeah,
hey, you made things all right for like 100 years and then someone else is gonna do it again.
You either break the cycle and everything ends too bad, or you've got the cycle. It's the cycle you got, unfortunately.
Yep.
This game is very much themed around light and dark. In the bad ending, the end screen, as it tells you, good job, buddy. Pure white, black text. Dark ending, pure black, white text. There's I can appreciate some consistent theming. Your own dude is just a white soul-like spinny ball of fire thing surrounded by black, the darkness.
Yeah.
It makes sense that there'd be two endings and that's it, I guess.
Yeah. And then you open up the extra stage, which is just even more Minerva.
And promptly close it.
I did try a little bit and didn't get very far on it.
It's very hard. Like it's essentially like, oh hey, let's try the true end boss again, except now you're powerful.
You've got all your abilities, but remember how we used to give you breaks? Nah, no breaks now.
And so much health that you better not lose any weapon levels.
Yeah.
I decided that, it's an extra stage for a reason. If any of you real Toho freaks are out there, you might enjoy it. Godspeed.
Yeah, I don't think I ever made it out of the first form. Granted, I didn't play it long.
Yeah, I think I technically did, but it died. So I don't know if there's anything more after that, and that's fine. I don't need that in my life. But
yeah, I guess overall, I mean, this came out this year. I'm not going to do a comparison for this year because it's just started. I mean, there are other games this year, but nothing has won an award yet.
Yeah, it would be a little bit too presumptuous to start doling out awards 2 months into the year, as though like, oh, nothing could possibly top this.
Nah, January 1st release, Game of the Year.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, Game of the Year so far is not quite an accolade that people really pay attention to.
You gotta continually update it.
Yeah, no, but outside of presentation-wise, this game's like fairly simple design, which I think works. Generally pretty clear even if the bullets are kind of sometimes hard to focus on. Music is a nice high energy electro swing. Well, not swing. I don't know genre, but
yeah, it's definitely like I don't know subgenres of electronic either. It's definitely doing the like it's not dubstep, but that kind of electronic.
Yes, it has the aura of someone who has heard dubstep and would like you to have that energy as well.
Yeah. I liked it. I felt like it did a good job of being like intense in appropriate times.
Yeah, and like bits of piano, I think in like the menu screen or in the quieter times. The game's not really long enough to really have too much variety in that sense, but it gets the job done. It makes you feel how you're supposed to feel, and I'm trying so desperately not to compare to Toho because that's not fair. Toho is he wanted to share his music, so he made a game as a vector for it.
I mean, that might be the same deal with this developer.
Really?
I don't know. As far as I know, they are heavy on the music making, and this is their first game.
Well, shut me up again. Okay, yeah. With that new information, that definitely changes my opinions, obviously, but no.
Maybe they're just going, hey, if the maker of Toho can do it, they're named Zun, I think? It said UN?
Yes, I would not possibly be able to confidently
Yeah.
pronounce
But
it.
if Zun can do it, so can I. I don't know.
Yes, being like Icarus, flying so close to the sun. But outside of that, any other notable elements of this game?
I don't know. I guess I was going to complain about the Dark World at some point.
It's a final boss gauntlet, kind of like so many enemies, but...
Yeah. I think I found the Dark World exploration part more frustrating than either of the end bosses.
So I'm assuming it's the true end path that you're talking about?
No, it's the, like, go past the gate on the bad end.
Okay, good. I wasn't sure because this one I can more agree with you. That it is so intense for so long, and weirdly enough, the monochrome aspect of it, where it's like the white background with shadowy walls that you're not quite sure where the like end point is, and like all the enemies are also just pure black.
Yeah.
That was harder for me to read than going through the true end Dark World, where everything's black.
That was the point where I was like, screw it, I'm turning on simplified bullets.
Yeah, fair enough.
And a lot of the time, the enemies start shooting their patterns while they're still off screen. I was like, oh great, I guess I'm about to walk into a room with 3 enemies because I'm seeing a whole lot of pattern coming at me.
They will chase you as well. You can't just like try and keep dashing, reflecting past everything, because it will very quickly become untenable as you reach kill enemy rooms.
And like, I don't know, it's kind of interesting because the true end path has basically all of the save points that you had before. There's plenty of places to make incremental progress. It's also, I think, just not as hard in general.
Oh yeah, the intensity's way down for that aspect. Spread out. You don't have to do it all in one run. And the geometry and I think just the nature of the enemies makes things a lot easier to just kind of increment your way through, like you said.
Like, I did it in the order of I saved to a new save in Flicker Mill, did the bad end all the way through, then went and talked to Saris and started the true ending. So I don't know, it was a weird difficulty spike for me.
Yeah, I will say, like, going through the bad end, I think, is much harder than anything else in the game, to an extent that, like, I could see a need for some sort of difficulty slider beyond simplified bullets. There is just the one, and having nothing to fall back on after getting locked into that thing is... I can see how, if you're not up to that level of skill, it'd very much feel very bad to get all this way and then, well, suffer for your art.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard to like put myself in the shoes of someone who they're not having the experience I had, which is, yeah, it was hard. I tried a couple of times and then got it. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, for some reason, trying against a challenging boss a couple of times, perfectly fine for me to be like, dang, I didn't get it that time. I'll like improve against it. Trying at this like long gauntlet of enemies wasn't doing it for me.
Yeah, and like fundamentally it's not that different since the enemies don't change. It's again a bit of a pattern recognition, and it's a long sequence, but you can learn techniques for it, the same as any boss. So I guess it's just a flavor thing that rubs you the wrong way.
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird. Yeah, noted. You hate horde bosses. Gotcha. We'll continue to follow up as we go along in our stack rank. Many different games, some of which had varying types of bosses, but which one or which ones came out a little bit better? Which ones were worse? Where are you putting this thing?
Well, now I'm just thinking that Legion / what was it named at one point? Gonfaloon?
Granfaloon, I believe, in Symphony of the Night.
It was like my favorite Castlevania boss. But whatever.
That's still a dude, and you just kind of have to keep up with his debris that falls off.
That's a total aside. Where to put this? Overall, I think I had a good time with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little short. It's also very specific to, you gotta like the bullet hell, and specifically Toho, I think.
Yeah, like if you enjoyed Night Witch, if you're somehow one of the people who like I know we played it. I can't imagine that's that zeitgeisty, but...
And I guess that is an interesting question of how do I feel about this versus the Night Witch, where I think the like moment to moment I think I was enjoying this one a little more than Night Witch,
Okay.
but Night Witch also has a little more meat to it. And so, like, that's an interesting debate to me.
I've often made that argument of I appreciate more heft, like that does kind of make things stand out more in my mind. It does feel like punishing a game for just not having the scope I want.
Yeah.
I don't think this game would be better if it tacked on a sixth area or something.
Which, speaking of which, that was a stretch goal on the Kickstarter. They
Oh,
did not
no.
make it to that. They kind of barely funded.
Well, they did get over the finish line, and ultimately I am glad they did. I did enjoy my time with this, but I kind of interrupted you. Did you reach a conclusion on how you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm still arguing myself in circles here.
I'll jump in ahead then.
Okay, go ahead.
I like the Night Witch quite a bit, still number 7. This one, while similar, I didn't enjoy the moment to moment as much.
No.
It was good. Like, it definitely had like that level of like focus and intensity that Night Witch kind of didn't, but I just think the overall package and like design of Night Witch definitely had a bit more variation in gameplay. Even like this one is very short, so it got out while it was still good, but again, appreciate the longer segments. I'm instead comparing this to Gato Roboto, another short, easy, digestible game, but I think this one beats it out just slightly under Pseudo Regalia as my new number 19.
Interesting. I put Gato Roboto up at number 12.
Yeah, I'm aware.
I think overall, I don't know that I had fun with this. I don't know that it sparked joy as much as Gato Roboto did.
I see.
I guess the thing with the Night Witch is like the Night Witch had more customizability, right?
Yes.
Like you've got the whole spell deck thing, although this has like a bunch of basic weapons, right? And the Night Witch had weapons, but you have to find them in your spell deck kind of thing. I don't know. I'm just talking myself around in circles.
Night Witch has a dodge/dash, which I kind of prefer over the conditional shield reflector.
No, I kind of liked the reflector more. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we're about to throw hands.
I mean, it doesn't really matter that much in the end. I think the reflector is a better choice for the more Toho-esque patterns.
Fair.
Right? Because like the dash to be effective really depends on there being open spaces in the pattern that you can dash to, right? Where the reflector, you get to make your own open spaces.
And I guess this also kind of adapts, like, there is a bomb in this game, but it is not the Toho bomb, which clears bullets.
Yeah.
And so the reflector kind of fulfills that need instead. It's not as screen clearing, but, you know, it's a similar panic button type option. So, yeah, that makes sense for this kind of game.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that it didn't have screen clear on hit or something. Some things do that, right?
Yeah. This one was kind of stingy with getting rid of bullets. Like, you'd kill an enemy, it fired off in the direction you're about to keep exploring, and so you're just kind of following the bullets.
Yeah.
As you keep going, it's fine. Kind of quirky. Not really a problem.
I was a little surprised when Minerva forms, you can actually eliminate bullets by kicking her into her next phase, which is probably not very useful unless you're using the purple wave beam and just going to town with it, where you can just be like, it doesn't matter, she'll be dead by the time those bullets reach me.
That would have saved that weapon for me a lot if you could count on, as long as its HP reaches 0, I'll be safe.
Yeah.
But no, that aggressive playstyle generally not conducive.
I'm still procrastinating on producing an answer for this. This is going to be immensely arbitrary. I'm going to put it as the new number 20 above Chasm.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know. This opinion could change very easily.
Still put it under Night Witch, so.
Which, like, I don't know. It's an interesting comparison. I feel like I kind of want to rate it higher just because I think this style is more my jam than the Night Witch was. And yet I'm still putting it lower.
Are you a Toho's man? I never really asked. Do you Toho?
I have played exactly one Toho. And yet this is more my style of... Weirdly, I've played a fair amount of, like, 1942 or its ilk in arcades.
Time Pilot, Gradius, Raiden,
Yeah, I don't know, more the like
Dodon Pachi.
theoretically World War II plane fighters, the like long vertical ones.
Okay, a Galaga like.
Yeah.
A Karuga?
No, although I have always heard good things about it, and I'm familiar enough with people having talked about it that
Yeah.
I don't know. It's bullet hell is not really my genre, but I do kind of like the idea of it, and
You like it as a little spice in your Metroidvanias, but you'd
Yeah.
never just eat a plate of chili peppers.
yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, random other things that I wanted to mention just because I think it's funny. Guess how many backers this has on Kickstarter?
Okay, this is either incredibly low or incredibly high, but given what I know about its production, I'm going to say 18.
Not that low,
Oh, dang.
but still pretty low. It has 68 backers, which also is hilarious that it's not 69.
So close. If only you told me, we could have gotten that. We could have gotten that 6th area and the good sex number. Damn it.
Yeah, apparently I'm one of them. I mean, my name is in the credits.
Yeah, did that make you feel something?
No. But there's not a lot of other names in the credits, so I was like, oh, huh. It's like the 5 producers and not a lot of other people.
Like good on them. Like I'm definitely glad that like you don't need to have like the kind of incredible status in order to, get your game out the door. So
Yeah, and I mean, this was a pretty low Kickstarter. Their goal was only $4,000. So this is definitely a, hey, just pay me to, like, punt this over the finish line, I think, more than finance the entire development of this game.
yeah, and then abscond with all the money after you get your whatever Mega Man Legends reboot. That's definitely coming. No, I'm glad, especially in this case where I'm sure like a lot of Metroidvania fans would probably not really show up because if anything that's not a platformer is just verboten. One might even call it blasphemous, which is the next game we're going to be playing for the project.
Oh,
Tom, you've played this game, right?
I have played it.
I have not. The sequel got released recently, and I've been looking for an excuse to finally play it. And, well, here we are. Finally, time to give those Christians what's coming to them. Yeah, a solid half hour is just going to be Bible studies next month, guys. Get ready.
Oh, boy.
And if you have a problem with that, definitely let us know by emailing us at invertedcastlepodcast@gmail.com or on X at invertedcastleph. Never forget the P. The P is for Protestant. Are we on Blue Sky?
Strangely not. I don't know. I also feel like I got bad about posting on some of them. I dropped Threads, apparently.
Oh no, loose threads.
No one seemed to ever notice on Threads. It's not like I did very much other than announce the episode, so that's probably why.
Which usually also show up on YouTube. Definitely leave a comment and or complaint there or on whatever podcasting platform you choose.
Yeah.
In any case, I've been Eric Fox.
And I've been Thomas Plate.
And remember, kids, if you ever find yourself in the absence of light, you can always cast Magic Missile on the darkness. Is that too old of a reference?
Whatever. We're old.